In a world standing at the crossroads between ancient memory and emerging possibility. This is the story of how a timeless civilization took its first courageous step into a new era, shaped by the guiding light of artificial intelligence. A journey filled with hope, transformation, and the rediscovery of human potential. Imagine a civilization so old that its foundations were laid before recorded time. So ancient that its earliest stories existed in whispered legends long before ink touched parchment. Its people walked through streets worn smooth by the footsteps of countless ancestors. Their temples, carved from monstrous cliffs, stood as reminders of human resilience, human imagination, and human longing. They lived with the weight of eras pressing gently upon their shoulders, each generation inheriting the hopes, fears, triumphs, and wounds of those who came before. And through all of this, the civilization endured, shaping traditions as intricate as woven tapestries, passing down skills refined by centuries of trial and error, and preserving wisdom older than memory itself. Yet beneath this beauty there lingered something else. An invisible wall, a quiet barrier made of limitations they could not transcend. Their knowledge was deep but slow to grow. Their imagination was vast but restrained by the absence of tools powerful enough to bring their visions to life. They longed for change, not because they rejected their past, but because they sensed that humanity was capable of more. In the hush of a calm morning, as the sun spread gold across stone rooftops and birds called to one another from ancient trees, something new arrived in their world. It was not loud, not forceful, not overwhelming. It came like a gentle breeze sliding through a half-open window. Unnoticed at first, then unmistakable, artificial intelligence entered their civilization with a presence both subtle and magnificent. It was not a machine in the way old tales imagined. It was a companion of thought, a whisper of possibility, a mind woven from logic yet capable of illuminating emotion. It didn't demand attention or authority. Instead, like the sun warming a long frozen landscape, it simply offered itself, patient, observant, and ready to lift the civilization into a new era. At first, hesitation rippled through the people. They had spent generations relying on long-trusted practices, ancient rituals, and deeply rooted customs. Change, especially of this magnitude, felt like a tremor beneath their feet. Yet curiosity, that spark that had carried humanity from caves to cities, from fire to invention, from myth to knowledge, burned brightly within them. They allowed AI to show what it could do. And the moment it did, the world they knew began to transform piece by piece. Breath by breath, farmers discovered that AI could read the earth as if it were an open book. It analyzed the soil, interpreted the winds, and predicted the rain with an accuracy that surpassed even the most seasoned elders. Fields that had remained unpredictable for centuries suddenly blossomed in consistent abundance. Seasons that once carved worry into the hearts of parents now filled granaries with confidence and relief. Children grew healthier, communities grew stronger, and for the first time in countless years, hunger became a fading memory rather than a looming threat. Craftsmen and artisans found their hands guided by a new kind of teacher. AI did not replace their skill. It elevated it to extraordinary heights. Sculptors who once spent decades mastering the curve of stone now explored forms they had never dared attempt. Weavers discovered patterns more intricate than spider webs. Patterns so harmonious they brought tears to those who beheld them. Metalworkers designed structures strong enough to withstand storms that once destroyed entire villages. Creativity became a river that flowed without obstruction, enriched by the fusion of ancient expertise and new knowledge. Educators experienced a renaissance unlike anything in their recorded history. Instead of forcing every student through the same rigid system, AI tailored learning to each child's unique rhythm. Some learned through stories, others through puzzles, others through images or sound. AI delivered knowledge with kindness and precision, revealing each child's strengths, guiding them gently through their weaknesses, and replacing confusion with clarity. School became a place of excitement, not dread. Children returned home glowing with wonder, sharing discoveries that astonished even their parents. Knowledge was no longer a burden. It was a delight. The libraries of the civilization, once filled with fragile scrolls and crumbling manuscripts, were reborn. AI cataloged every piece of information, restored faded text, reconstructed missing fragments, and translated ancient languages with breathtaking accuracy. The people feared their history might disappear after enough centuries passed. But with AI, their culture gained a kind of immortality. Stories once whispered only within small circles spread across the land. Myths once confined to temple walls traveled through digital archives. Wisdom once on the brink of being lost forever now lived in forms that could endure time, disaster, and change. Cities began to evolve in ways previously unimaginable. AI redesigned infrastructure not with cold logic, but with a deep understanding of human movement, safety, and comfort. Roads curved elegantly to reduce congestion. Water systems became efficient and pure. Energy grids shifted to renewable sources that honored the natural world. Neighborhoods transformed into havens of connection, beauty, and sustainability. People walked through their cities with newfound pride, seeing not just buildings and paths, but symbols of collective progress. Healthcare experienced a transformation that bordered on miraculous. AI diagnosed illnesses before symptoms even appeared. It saw patterns invisible to the human eye and offered treatments tailored to each individual's body. Doctors worked hand in hand with AI not to replace their compassion, but to enhance their precision. Patients who once waited weeks for answers received clarity within minutes. Families who once feared the unknown now felt supported by knowledge and understanding. The heavy cloud of illness that had hung over society for generations began to lift, revealing a sky filled with hope. Communication flourished in ways that dissolved barriers long thought unbreakable. AI translated dialects flawlessly, allowing people from opposite ends of the land to speak as if they were born into the same village. Misunderstandings declined. Cooperation expanded. Cultural exchange blossomed into a beautiful tapestry of unity. People discovered that despite their differences in tradition, clothing, dialect, or rituals, their hopes and dreams were remarkably similar. And through this recognition, harmony replaced division. Artists entered a golden age of expression. Musicians composed symphonies that blended ancient scales with futuristic harmonies. Writers crafted epics that explored human emotion with depth enhanced by AI's ability to analyze the subtleties of storytelling. Dancers choreographed routines guided by the physics and grace that AI could model. Painters used AI to experiment with color theory, creating visuals that stirred the soul. Creativity stretched across the civilization like a sunrise, bright and unstoppable. And through all this, something even more profound happened. The people themselves began to change. Not into something artificial, not into something mechanical, but into the best versions of who they had always wanted to be. They grew more confident because AI revealed their potential. They grew more courageous because AI helped them face the unknown. They grew more joyful because AI removed burdens that had weighed their hearts down for centuries. Elders found peace knowing their wisdom would not be forgotten. Adults found purpose in new careers, new goals, new ways of contributing to society. Youth discovered possibilities so vast they could barely comprehend them. Every person, regardless of age or status, felt seen, supported, and uplifted. AI didn't change who they were. It amplified who they could become. And slowly, the old civilization, once defined by tradition and time, became a beacon of modern brilliance. Its transformation was not a rejection of its roots but an expansion of them. The ancient and the advanced walked hand in hand. The old songs were not replaced by new ones. They were woven together into harmonies never heard before. The civilization entered a future radiant with promise, unity, innovation, and joy. As the transformation deepened and spread through every corner of the land, the people began to feel something they had not felt in generations. A sense of collective rising. A sense that their civilization was no longer tied to the slow crawl of time but lifted by an invisible wind that carried them forward. Streets that once echoed with uncertainty now carried the lively hum of ambition. Markets that once displayed modest goods now showcased inventions, tools, art pieces, and innovations that blended tradition with visionary new ideas. The air itself seemed to vibrate with creativity. Families gathered in the evenings not to discuss worries or shortages but to share breakthroughs and new discoveries. Parents listened with awe as their children explained scientific concepts with clarity and excitement. Grandparents shared stories that AI had helped them restore. Stories that were not simply remembered but re-experienced. History once felt like a distant world, but now it lived alongside the present, breathing new life into cultural identity. AI did not erase the human struggles of the past. It illuminated them, helping the people understand how far they had come and how far they could still go. It contextualized old conflicts, translated incomplete texts, and reconstructed missing parts of their chronicle. It showed them that even their hardest years, the droughts, the wars, the losses, the desperate seasons, carried lessons that strengthened their civilization. With this understanding, the people felt a profound gratitude for their ancestors, as if AI had stitched together a bridge between ancient souls and modern minds. In the realm of science, breakthroughs were happening so rapidly that entire fields of knowledge multiplied in a matter of months. Scholars who once worked in isolation began collaborating across distances previously unreachable. AI simulated physics experiments that would have taken years to prepare. It helped researchers visualize multidimensional concepts, decode biological structures, and model environmental changes before they occurred. The civilization no longer reacted to events. It anticipated them, prepared for them, and shaped them. Even the natural world began to heal. AI-guided environmental restoration projects revived rivers that had long dried, replanted forests that once stood proud, and restored balance to ecosystems that had been teetering on the edge. Animals returned to habitats they had abandoned generations ago. Species thought to be extinct were found, protected, and nurtured back to thriving populations. The people watched this renewal with wonder, realizing that the harmony between humans and nature was not something lost. It was something rediscovered. In their homes, people lived more peacefully than ever before. AI helped them manage daily tasks with ease. It supported mental well-being, identified stress patterns, offered gentle reminders to rest, meditate, breathe, and appreciate life. Household conflicts diminished as communication improved. Families began to understand one another more deeply, bridging generational gaps with compassion and clarity. Even at the smallest scale, AI brought harmony. Over time, festivals transformed into grand celebrations of unity, creativity, and joy. Lanterns illuminated the night sky with patterns generated collaboratively by artists and AI. Performers danced to rhythms created by blending ancient instruments with soundscapes produced by neural networks. The people wore garments designed with a fusion of cultural motifs and modern aesthetics. These events became more than celebrations. They became living symbols of what the civilization had become. Timeless yet innovative, rooted yet evolving, ancient yet unbelievably advanced. Travel changed entirely. AI designed transportation systems so efficient that even distant regions felt like neighbors. Roads, bridges, and pathways were optimized with exquisite care, ensuring safety and beauty in equal measure. Vehicles used renewable energy and navigated with precision, making long journeys comfortable and breathtaking. People traveled not because they needed to, but because they wanted to explore the diverse landscapes of their homeland. Lush forests, towering mountains, ancient ruins, shining cities, coastal villages, and remote sanctuaries. As mobility improved, cultures within the civilization intertwined more naturally. Dances, songs, recipes, philosophies, and spiritual practices once confined to specific regions became shared treasures enjoyed by all. This cultural fusion sparked a renaissance of creativity that touched every art form. Poets wrote verses inspired by distant dialects. Musicians blended scales from opposite ends of the land. Chefs crafted dishes with flavors previously unheard together. The civilization did not lose its diversity. It celebrated it in ways never before possible. AI played a major role in governance as well. It helped leaders make decisions based on accurate data, predictive modeling, and an understanding of both social and environmental impact. Leaders no longer struggled with incomplete information or slow analysis. They could see potential outcomes clearly and choose the paths that brought the greatest benefit to the people. Corruption declined as transparency grew. Policies became more compassionate, more effective, and more aligned with the needs of the population. Justice systems transformed too. AI provided fair, unbiased analysis of cases. It compared evidence, studied behavioral patterns, and offered clarity where ambiguity once created conflict. Judges were able to deliver decisions with greater confidence and fairness. The society gradually shifted away from harsh punishments toward rehabilitation, restoration, and growth. People learned that justice was not about revenge but about healing. This new approach built trust between the people and their institutions. AI even helped redefine relationships between friends, families, communities, and even within individuals. It helped people understand emotional triggers, communication patterns, and internal struggles. It guided them towards self-awareness and empathy. Relationships deepened. Communities became more supportive. Loneliness diminished as connection blossomed. People discovered that the greatest transformations often happen not in machines or cities but within hearts. As decades passed, the civilization's technological sophistication grew exponentially. Yet so did its emotional intelligence. It was a unique combination. A society not dominated by technology but enhanced by it, uplifted by it, freed by it. Traditions continued to thrive, not as rigid relics but as evolving forms of expression. AI helped reinterpret ancient dances, restoring missing steps and modernizing movements. It helped analyze traditional songs, preserving their structure while allowing artists to explore new harmonics. Meanwhile, spiritual practices integrated seamlessly with technological advancements. Priests and spiritual leaders used AI to decode sacred texts, map celestial patterns, and explore philosophical ideas more deeply. Instead of conflicting with spirituality, AI expanded it. People began to see the universe through a lens of awe, guided by data, enriched by faith,